Okay. We're going to take a look at Moonshine EX, a Honkai content creator on YouTube, and has a new tier list. We like poking at tier lists, especially if they're trying to be serious and not memes. But let's take a balanced approach and take a balanced review of this tier list video today. All right, let's take a look here. I hope the music's not DMCA. Hold on. Does he say? Okay. Let's take a look here. 6.2. Today's video.
I'll be going through all the Valkyries tier version 6.2 to find out like the different priorities for crystal spending, free-to-play players, and especially those who start as well. Going through the different roles, we have crystals, you know, stuff that Valkyries that you should pull. Next, we have Valkyries that you can pull if you have extra crystals, but not compulsory. Next,
basically for whales
that like you can get through pulling, but I recommend not spending it because it may be free to play, it may be outdated, etc.
Also
Next,
for whales,
free to play high priorities, which are Valkyries that you can get free to play through free to play, and they will have a high impact on your account. Next, we have free to play decent. So these are free to play Valkyries that makes an impact more at the start compared to at the end. And lastly, we have our favorite dust collectors. So for first and foremost, we have AE. Alright, Fuhua Beswa. Honestly, I put her here, but you know, with 6.2 coming, and with the presence of Pardo, she might be here. Also, she's also...
This is accurate. I think the AE placement is accurate. She's great, but if you already didn't get her from her last Battle Pass appearance, like, you might have already missed this train. So the only reasons you would go for AE now is because you're a Fuhua stan.
So in the Dom Supply, so she's a very good Valkyrie, but if you can get her from free-to-play means such as Dom Supply, definitely get her through there. She can go either here or here, but I'll put it on top. Alright, so we have 6.
Yeah, put Fuhua on top, I agree.
She's a very good Valkyrie for S-rank Valkyrie, however, she has dropped down the meta, and unfortunately, I think she's now here. Like late game,
that's fair, yeah.
Nowhere close. Similarly, we have for Adrenite Artemis, aka Rita. She's definitely impactful in Elysian Realm and for free-to-play players, but she's definitely not worth spending your crystals on. And
I agree.
Oh, okay, looks like our Dust Collector streak is going.
I will say, in Kriegmesser Young Himiko's defense, she's still useful in a couple of strats here and there as a Blood Dance carrier. Okay.
I will also sort them by priority if that helps. Next we have Blueberry Blitz BB. She goes here.
I agree. It's actually kind of agree.
She used to be pretty high up there, but I think she's now here. Not yet a Dust Collector because she does have some impacts on her own. Okay, next we have what's her name again? Dark Nucleus, I forgot. But yeah, she is here. Next we have Blood Rose. Okay, so Blood Rose.
I agree. It's so the one thing that this tier list doesn't account for is the fact that you still need to build Serenade and Dark Nucleus, Black Nucleus for the Dorm buffs. But Dorm buffs aside, yeah,
I'm not sure. She can either be here or here.
I would definitely put her in Dust Collector too.
In a form collecting.
I wish Moonshine had a tier that was just like utility only. I feel like if it was utility only, Blood Rose and Kriegmesser would fill in that, and Blueberry Blitz would also be utility only tier.
Yes, although she's an S rank. Valkyrie Triumphs, she goes down here. Celestial Him, she used to be very good. Honestly, she's still worth getting for free-to-play players.
I think Lilith's account is actually a great case where having CH but not HS, you're kind of forced into using CH.
But it's definitely not worth the crystal spend, so I think you can get her in the War Treasury, so I'll put it here. Like,
yeah, like if you get CH from Dorm, if you get her from Dorm, that's great. I don't agree with War Treasury because I feel like right now there's probably more stuff from War Treasury that you need to prioritize.
Okay, next we have Crimson Impulse. Alright. We have Dimension Breaker as well. So these are really...
I feel like Crimson Impulse is more relevant than Dimension Breaker, but okay, I'll
bronze
let that
buff.
ordering
Okay, we have 3
slide.
Miko, 2 Bronya, 1 Mei. Next we have Ye, Darkbolt Jonin. I believe she's here. She's
I
either
kind of
here or
agree.
here. I think
Like,
she'll be a decent.
I think if you get her early
Okay, next we have
from
Divine Prayer. I think
off
she's pretty
rates, are there any events that give you Dark Bolt Jonin early on? I feel like if you're a new player, you wouldn't go out of your way to farm Dark Bolt Jonin. I wish that Dark Bolt Jonin was obtainable by any other means apart from SP fragment shop stuff only. You know? Oh, right. Her fragments can pop up in open world. Right? If you're just kind of doing open world without being specific about what you're getting. Used to be from starter event, but not anymore. That's unfortunate. I think she's great if you can get her for cheap or for free. But if you have to go out of your way to farm for her, you're better off just farming for like Pardo, you know?
decent. Okay, she's pretty decent. So for Ye Sakura, for Flame Sakitama,
I would put her
think
F2P
she
decent.
is, pretty decent as well. For like
Yeah.
your very first fire team, definitely you'll be using Flame Sakitama. For Herrscher
Yeah.
of Reason, yes, with the incoming 6.3 Herrscher of Truth, she's great but not worth the spend. And
Right. I think I would say that Herrscher of Reason is more relevant
good,
for.
but I feel like she has fallen off the mid.
Okay, this is probably where a lot of people in official Discord were upset, is because HT is ranked in great but don't spend. In Moonshine's defense, we're getting HT for free in 6.2, so he's not wrong. She's great, but at this point, it is kind of expensive to build an HT team, because that means you need Turgenev top and bottom, Echoes of Paradise, and Fischl for now, but probably in the near future, Herrscher of Truth fully kitted out. Falling off the meta? Did he say that?
She is, I think.
I would probably hang on.
And she's, I think, here. Next up, we have Herrscher of Thunder. She's pretty good, but I feel like she has fallen off the meta.
Okay. Fallen off the meta. No. Herrscher of Thunder is definitely not falling off the meta. Seven Thunders was definitely cracked out. Seven Thunders arguably is too good. For now. Gabriel. Yeah, HT definitely needs Seven Thunders. But I agree with her placement as far as being great but don't spend.
Here.
But here's the thing, right? HT being a high performer implies that you have already built up Seven Thunders, Echoes of Paradise, and at least Turgenev top and bottom for Eden. You know? Yeah, that's okay. So Fragile has a very balanced statement that I want to read out, right? Probably the last remaining FTP friendly DPS now if you get her free in 6.2. Turgenev is available in Battle Pass. You can get top and bottom for free if you played the last 4 patches. If you didn't play, you might have to drop $10 this patch, and then you can get top and bottom, or $20 before this Sunday, and you can get top and bottom. Zen Yi in the next season, not next patch, but the next season in 6.3, right? It was 6.3 is when Zen Yi pops up. So that's also a great budget way to build your Fischl if you don't have Herrscher of Truth to supplement that team. And yeah, so that'll be the closest that you'll get without Seven Thunders and Echoes.
Next we have Herrscher of the Void.
Yes, and Herrscher of Thunder's gear is craftable. Handle is farmable, yes.
He has also fallen out of the meta, unfortunately, and there are greater physical bulks up there. Actually, Night Moonbeam might have fallen off even further.
I would even put HOV in Dust Collector tier, judging by the standards of this tier list. As much as I love HOV, the cost of her fragments, like the fact that they made her a legacy fragment and not a willpower fragment, definitely hurts how reasonable it is to actually build her out. Because if she was willpowers only, then you could say, okay, well, you just throw on Elysia 3 set on her and just whatever the highest attack weapons that you can find, even if it's not necessarily Keys of the Void. And she's functional, right? You could farm her to double S relatively easily if she was willpower only. But the fact that she was made as legacies and not willpower really hurts her position.
She's on a higher priority of like the dust collectors.
HOV. Night Moonbeam. Definitely, I agree with Dust Collector tier. This was something that came up in the YouTube comments a while back. Was like, since we don't really use her for triple S fight, like we don't need her at triple S rank anymore. You would farm her to double S for the dorm buffs and then just let her just collect dust. Wait, is HOT stuff farmable? You would just use handle, Jiro.
Same as LE, or LE is one of the votes they can get for friends, not really for your mate.
I would say Lightning Empress would still be F2P high priority. Well, I'm still biased by old meta tech.
Not really for your teams, but for your friend skill of plus 60 SP. Next we have Luna Kindred, I think. She is definitely like around here. She still has some uses.
Yeah, Luna Kindred would be ER tier.
Okay, next we have Blueberry Blitz. Okay, free to play high priority.
I don't agree that that Fervent Tempo is F2P high priority anymore. I think we discussed this before when we were reviewing Keepster's 6 point in the retrospective, right? The 5.6 meta canvas. I would say F2P decent, but not F2P high priority anymore. Just because there's other stuff that you probably want to just focus your efforts towards.
Definitely. You can get her through the War Treasury, and sometimes she is free to play somewhere, I forgot. Next, Yay Sakura is also on the lower end of free to play decent. She's quite decent for a physical team.
No, I would put Miko down in Dust Collector, unfortunately.
6S Memento. She is a Dust Collector, but it's good to have if you manage to get her. Night Squire, okay, yeah. Very good. Night Squire is high priority as well.
Okay, so Night Squire and Fervent Tempo, I definitely say that this is old meta bias. Because I feel like 6 to 8 months ago, I probably would have said the same thing, right? Like it's what we used to just regurgitate back in 2019 to early 2021. It was like, get Fervent Tempo, get Night Squire, get Hawk of the Fog. I don't know that either of those belong in F2P high priority at this point. I think they are fine in F2P decent for starters. But I definitely feel like Fervent Tempo and Night Squire are too old meta for F2P high priority. And I think some of that is just still like, it's the old meta bias.
For free to play, because she does have impact. She used to be on the top of the meta quite a few years back. Forgot her Valkyrie, her suit name, so...
Phantom Iron? Yeah, team. Phantom Iron is actually okay as a starter. I feel like Phantom Iron gets underrated a lot as a starter battle suit. She actually is probably one of the earliest forms of elemental support, like in the early game. Fervent Tempo ain't OP anymore? No, the fights go too long. Like, you can make her work, but it takes a lot of effort to make her work on the triple S fights. Cupcake, with regard to CH, I disagree. I feel like if you have a CH with 11th, you would just have to do the old strat, and that probably is still enough for Agony.
High priority for your elemental support. She's one of the first.
Phoenix, I definitely would still agree that Phoenix is higher priority for F2P. Phantom Iron, was it double S? No, at base the alt will buff. It's just more significant at double S for sure. But at base you still have some. It's not great, but it's better than nothing.
Elemental supports that you have. Next we have.
You were close though. I do feel like she gets her sweet spot at double S. I remember back in the day, I was talking with Toki about Caravaggio as a set, and I was like, man, I wish Caravaggio was just craftable, because everybody's just using JST anyways. Like, why can't they just make Caravaggio craftable? So I asked for Caravaggio craftable in feedback channel and on surveys, and then they made Caravaggio craftable a year later. And you know, it's like if Caravaggio was craftable as a G1, that would have been great. But they made Caravaggio a G2, which, okay, I guess they're trying to apply pressure for players to like either commit to the time grind or like just spend for newer gacha stuff.
Ritual Imayo, I believe. He's unfortunately a dust collector on the lower end, I think here.
50 pride doesn't do enough. I ran 50 pride CH on my alt account though. Maybe by the time that you ended up having to do it, the temps were already too high. Cupcake.
Next we have SA.
Alright, what was the last one that he just said?
We have
Ritual Amayo. Yeah, ER tier.
He's unfortunately a dust collector on the lower end, I think here.
Yeah, ER
Next
tier.
we have SA. Okay, SA is definitely a high priority.
Okay, so again, SA placed as F2P high priority is another old meta bias. I know this because I used to recommend SA as F2P high priority. Remember back like a year and a half ago, I was like, SA should be your priority for SP battlesuits because she's the one that benefits from SP farming at triple S rank the most.
Also, Shujin set will be craftable soon, so definitely you want to get SA. And save up for crafting Shujin set too. Okay, so next up we have Shadow May. Definitely at the Dust Collector in the long run of...
No, I think Shadow Dash is actually F2P decent. There was a point when I was piloting for a friend who was just like Agony 3. Shadow Dash May was... Danzai actually was the solution on Jizo. Carol wasn't built out, so that was a no-go. It was... Did they have HS on the account? I think they did. Can't remember. But I remember having to do Danzai on Jizo to get the 46k. I would definitely rate Danzai as higher than Dust Collector, but not higher than F2P decent.
Things. She's... I think here, not much difference actually. Himeko as well, she's somewhere at the end if I remember. Next we have, Shadow Knight. So Shadow Knight,
yeah, Scarlet Fusion is kind of Dust Collector.
Pretty decent Valkyrie, just that she has fallen off pretty much anywhere, and she's not really worth spending crystals or your legacy on, but if you manage to come across her, she is pretty worth it. Next we have
I feel bad about Shadow Knight. His assessment is not wrong, and at least his caveats regarding Shadow Knight are accurate.
Stygian Nymph is also...
I really do wish that he had a tier that was like utility and niche strats only.
Stygian Nymph is pretty decent, but since you can't get free to play, I'll put her here. I was actually reading this from Dust Collector to get whenever you can. Okay, I think this
yeah, okay, so this is a much better get whenever.
Sele.
Yeah, that's
Sele
right.
Is one of the top. I'm sure most of you have went through the Sele era of her just carrying your early games. So yep, she's definitely at the top of this.
I feel like with Swallowtail, that's a old meta bias. I feel like Swallowtail is definitely in the get whenever tier nowadays. But like the reasoning is there, right? Like I understand why he's placing some of these, and a lot of it is old meta bias.
Snowy
Because I would
Sniper,
have said this like
she's pretty
6 months
decent.
ago, you know, or
However,
half a year, a
I
year
would
and
say
a half
she's
ago.
decent for a free-to-play character, so yeah, her utility definitely drops as you go up. Next we have I don't know how to pronounce her name, Sejun Jaeger. She's probably somewhere at the end as well, beside Richo Yamayo.
Yeah,
Umbra
Sundin Jaeger
Rose, I
should
think she's a
be
pretty decent
Sundin
physical
Jaeger should be
character.
in Elysian
So
Realm.
I'll put here somewhere here.
Umbro Rose probably is also get
Although
whenever.
I think Celia outperforms her quite marginally.
Yeah.
Okay, next we have
Okay, where he places Hawk of the Fog, we will really feel the old meta bias here.
the Corn. She's definitely high priority user.
Old meta bias, for sure. Old meta bias, for sure. I would definitely not tell new players to farm Hawk of the Fog in 2022. I would just tell you, just get Pardo and get Eden instead. You know what's really funny? If you're traveling back in time to mid 2020, this seems okay. Yeah, no, this is exactly where we would be back in mid 2020. Except in mid 2020, Shadow Knight and Night Moonbeam would have been in like the great tier. Um, and then Memento would probably be in like F2P decent if you get early. But yeah, this definitely has like a lot of that old 2020 2021 bias to it.
If you get her, she'll carry you like so much. This one, I'll put them together, same. But definitely go for the augmented version. Valkyrie Blade Strike, Striker Fulminata.
Striker Fulminata would be ER tier,
But
ER
so
tier. Get whenever.
She starts to fall back.
ER tier.
I think she'll go around here.
Okay, close. Okay.
Then we have Valkyrie Blade Strike. Okay, honestly, same. Okay, next we have Valkyrie Chariot.
I would honestly put Valkyrie Chariot in F2P decent, and I would move Blade Strike and Fulminata to get whenever. Because at least Valkyrie Chariot, you can use her as a gather.
Add it back as well. Twilight Paladin. Twilight Paladin is... Oh, can I get it for free? I hope so. Like, she's a high priority, but you can't get her free to play. Dang, so she goes here.
No, you can get her free to play. You can get Twilight Paladin free to play. She's in War Treasury and her augment chips are farmable. I would definitely put her in F2P decent if you can get her from Dorm early. But again, it's old meta bias, right? Like Twilight Paladin, if you don't already have her built, you would just use Carol. And this is something that Fragile has challenged me on throughout this year. It was like, Carol does everything that all the old meta does, but you can get her much cheaper. So why don't you just get her instead, you know?
Yeah, I think these are the few good ones.
Okay, so Fragile says around the halfway point is where things get really bad. Okay. I mean, okay, so far we're at the 7-minute mark on this. We're at 7 minutes, and everything is kind of more or less like you can kind of feel like there's old meta bias, which is 2020 to 2021. You know, a lot of this stuff I can see because it's like it's the stuff that I used to advise back, 2020 and 2021. This entire row of F2P priority is basically the old 2020 to 2021 early meta before we started getting battle suits like Carol and Pardo and Eden. And we had plenty of opportunities to get Herrscher of Thunder on reruns up until that point. Plenty of opportunities to get Flame Scion. Well, less opportunities for Flame Scion. But I feel like this was the turning point, more or less, was when Fischl and Haxor Bunny entered the fray. And Fallen Rosemary was farmable, Is this really a tier list? Moonshine EX is giving his opinions, so we're just gonna go and review it.
So together, because it's augmented version, Valkyrie Gloria, definitely a good, decent fire Valkyrie to have.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? This is for F2P for starters. Valkyrie Gloria in the early game definitely doesn't scale well into the late game, but like if you're level 20, level 30, having Valkyrie Gloria was not bad. The problem now is that you just level past that phase so much faster. So any of the characters that are in the F2P decent tier, you're not going to actually have too much time to spend building because you just level past their sweet spots in the game.
I believe it's better than Flame Sakitama. Alright, next one we have VKE. So VKE is also pretty good for your fire teams, especially if you just started. So she belongs at the top as well, I think here.
I would say maybe F2P decent for VKE, but you won't guarantee that you can get her from Dorm early, right? So get whenever so this being renamed from Dust Collector to Get Whenever is fair. In the regard that this is kind of like the mix of niche utility, out of meta, and or you're only going to use them for ER only, but they're not bad to have. In that regard, that's okay.
Next we have Valkyrie Pledge.
F2P decent.
Well, yeah, standard.
F2P decent.
A team.
I would say Valkyrie Pledge was F2P decent, but like I said before, you're just gonna level past the point where they're gonna be that useful.
Void Drifter, she used to have like her own weird meta com as well. I'll put it here. Okay, next we have Valkyrie Ranger, I think. Okay, she's together. Oh, I kept forgetting their names already. Himeko at the back. I'm sorry. White Comet at the back. Okay, now the trio. The trio is together. Wolf Dawn also at the back.
I would say Wolf's Dawn is also decent for F2P,
like
right?
Field presence.
Yeah, she's kind of in the same tier as Snowy Sniper.
Is she decent? Okay lah, I think she is a bit decent for your first team, but
I think the tiers are just named poorly. Yeah, I feel like the tier names could offer more nuance. I definitely feel the old meta bias in the ranking list. I really am I'm really curious to see where Eden and Pardo fit on this. And what he puts in Crystal's high priority right now. Back to the video.
She falls off quickly after that. Yamabuki Armor. Okay, she's definitely is she a high priority? Honestly,
not anymore.
High priority, but
she used to be high priority
because of the number of physical SP Valkyries out there. But even so, she has fallen till I think here. Definitely better than retiring. Same with Yamabuki Armor. Sakura Rondo.
I think Sakura Rondo is kind of get whenever tier.
If you have no team, then sure. But she'll probably be your first few fire supports. If not, then you can get her whenever.
Okay, Fallen Rosemary. This is the one.
In here, great but don't spend. So if you are free to play and you find a great Valkyrie, right, around here, definitely go for this Valkyrie. Like, these Valkyries will triumph high priority Valkyries, like as the tier list goes, as the tier list suggests, I guess. So she's definitely behind AE because she's a universal support and DPS.
Yeah, a lot of people forget that Fallen Rosemary is actually all elemental support and has a gather.
Oh, so okay, so we have awakened version of Lilia, definitely here. And actually, I think both of them belong here. Yeah, correct. Because SA is just
so this is again, this is old meta bias.
You know, so for Rosalia, it's because of a.
Well, like I get it. It's a little bit outdated information, but
together, this Shadow Dash.
I would put Danzai and Shadow Dash up in F2P decent.
Actually. Okay, so De Ancora, she's, I would say great, but don't spend. She's in the BP shop.
Yeah, it's okay. So Fragile says it's like technically right with FR's placement. So basically, we could separate these four into a separate tier behind great but don't spend. You could put these in like an old meta, so don't spend tier. And then I feel like F2P high priority would just be like old meta F2P, right? F2P old meta would be the tier name. But the ranking themselves is not wrong. I agree.
I can almost guarantee that she will be given free to play one day. So she's definitely at the end. Also, she's quite niche. Put her here. Actually, support has better usage. Oh, okay lah, around here.
Okay
Definitely
lah.
better than like free to play Valkyries out there. Okay, so next up we have Asuka. I have no clue how Asuka works, so I'll just put it.
No clue how
Asuka,
she
I
works.
never play
You
Asuka.
can't get her whenever.
Okay, so HOS.
Okay,
HOS
Asuka,
is
you need her
definitely
own tier
But
for
I think
Asuka.
it's a crystal high priority. A Valkyrie should pull. Not
Yes,
sure
so
if it could
HS
be,
is right, yeah.
Put her here because of her priority. Put her here, but
Can't get her
in a few
whenever.
patches to come. HOS will be in a BP, so if you have yet to get a BP, definitely go and buy a battle pass to get a free HOS. Like
Yeah,
seriously.
get a time machine.
Next we have Hexor Bunny.
Hexor Bunny
is
should be
definitely a
high
to
priority.
play. I think even more than StarlightVero Girls. Sarcasm Nyx is honestly, I would say it's not worth spending, because she's very niche and
Yeah.
quantum types.
Yeah, so
ice
again,
types,
I feel like
ice
Nyx here in this case is like the second half of Great But Don't Spend, which is like that in between tier, which is like it's just too expensive to build.
There's already a lot of S rank Valkyrie Ice, and quantum type is very niche, so she's also at the tail end of Great But Don't Spend. Fischl we have
High priority.
Yeah, high priority as well.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
accurate.
It's even higher than Brawny, because Brawny is getting a bit outdated by Sushang. Next we have Herrscher of Flame Scion, definitely high priority, especially with Ice.
Okay, I would probably say HFS is probably the tier down in crystals, but not compulsory.
Coming up, he's gonna
At launch, she felt like crystals high priority. Okay, so Fragile, you think this is really bad? Okay, I can understand why you think this is really bad because Flame Scion is in as a fire DPS just does not have the support structure, and also because of the importance of HOS. I understand why you think this is really bad. And I think part of this is due to the fact that Flame Scion and Senti are both on the starter banner, but only Senti is the one that scales past being double roll, right?
quickly boost HOFS like right to the top again. Next we have Elysia. She is definitely better than.
Okay, so Elysia should be F2P high priority in my opinion. But again, this is where the tier naming is falling off, right?
Yeah, definitely better than BKE. Although, like, for physical Valks, you see we have HOS, we have, like, Balatinus Equinox later. So, yeah. And next we have Mobius.
Mobius should be crystals, not compulsory.
It's spend worthy. Okay, so these are few. Is honestly spend worthy. Because, like, she's still out there in, like, the lightning department. Raven, she's high priority, but I think dropping down. Because of
I-Chan,
because of
yeah.
I-Chan, I think she has dropped down to decent for free to play. Next we have
Carol should be F2P
free to
high
play,
priority.
Another high priority together with StarlightVero, just because of how she supports like your physical teams pretty well.
Okay.
Silver Wings, Ice.
Crystals, but not
honestly,
compulsory.
She used to be here. Crystal, but not priority. But I think with Herrscher of Truth, Herrscher of Human, she probably has dropped down to.
That's a fair assessment.
Together with Sarcasm Nyx, because like Ice teams is just oversaturated right now.
This is the paradox with making investment tier lists. You have these things that are technically not bad to pull, but when you pull for them, it sets you so far behind. Then you weigh them against Herrscher of Truth, not even comparable. Yeah.
Balatinus Equinox, high priority. Although she's quite niche for physical teams, but
I would put HFS and PE in crystals, but not compulsory at this point. Feel like if you already missed the window, it's too late.
She's definitely out there for being like the first imaginary physical DPS. I think she'll stay there for a while. Next we have Spina. Okay, so Spina is
great, but don't spend.
Free to play. You can get her free to play.
Great, but don't spend. But in the top half,
she's back to like costing crystals again. So let's see. I think she deserves a spot in Great, but don't spend. I believe. Like, I don't recommend spending crystals. I only recommend spending extra crystals on her. Unless you don't have Flame Scion, but then again, if you have to pull between the two, definitely go for Flame Scion. She's high priority, but I think she's around here. Okay, next we have Pardo. Pardo is high priority for free to play.
Pardo
And
absolutely
honestly,
high priority.
for her kid as well. Actually, I'll put her here. It's kind of weird.
Yes. This is right. Fragile. She is truly the right. Oh my god. This is right though. This is right. I wouldn't say go for Bastet, but Piranha for sure. I think Piranha for yeah, I agree. Exactly. Piranha is insane. Bastet you can live without.
But like definitely get her gear for high priority.
Get her weapon. The don't get all her gear. Just get her weapon. Because if you get Piranha, you could use it on Pardo. You can also use it as a backup on Aichan if you're trying to skip on Aichan gear to save for Herrscher of Truth.
Yes, well. Next we have Eponia. Eponia also together with Mobius, they are the two.
Yeah, there's Eponia's luxury.
I
it's like, you know, great but don't spend in my opinion.
Next we have Eden.
Eden should be high priority. Crystal's high priority.
I think she triumphs.
Eden needs to be Crystal's high priority for Echoes.
So, that's how.
Especially with Echoes probably coming. But F2P high priority for Eden is close enough. Close enough.
How recent she is and how she supports Eponia very well. And of course her kit can be gotten free to play. And oh yeah, Journey, the problem of Journey is that you must get 3 stigmatas for everything to work. Which even I don't have. I only have 2 out of 3. So kinda unfortunate. Griseo, the newest physical SP Valkyrie, she's
F2P high priority. I would put Griseo above. Well, I mean, this is arguably
so
nebulous.
Definitely better than Brawny. So now we have Vill-V.
Vill-V.
Definitely better than Spina.
Great, but don't spend.
I'll actually put her here. She's still
Moonshine. Yeah, this is Moonshine's list.
Department.
Actually, I think below. I was biased because I pulled for her. LOL. Fair. It's old meta bias, like you.
But she's still not worth the crystals, especially if you have like Flame Siren already. Yeah, so next up we have Herrscher of Human Ego.
Okay, so this is the part. So, what are the things that we disagree with so far? HT could be rated higher, apart from the fact that we're getting a free HT, right? HFS, H2O, and PE would probably all 3 of them belong in crystals, but not compulsory tier. And then Eden should probably go higher. And those are my major concerns here. That I think they're kind of in line with what Fragile's picking up as well as being like the pitfalls. So H2O is great, but I definitely don't think her high priority. She's definitely a luxury Herrscher. I feel like her release as a Herrscher did not come with the same level of fanfare as previous Herrschers from a gameplay standpoint.
Definitely you want to put her all the way here. Actually, you know what? Pardo. Wow. Okay, so Pardo is the overall winner. Actually,
Pardo up front. Yes. So Fragile's comment is the idea of recommending pulling on any of these apart from Aichan Gear or Herrscher of Truth is just not it. And yeah, so if we're looking at this for 6.2, I think I'll probably release a separate recording where I just talk about my F2P plans on my F2P account and what I would recommend for F2P players. But the ranking themselves is not bad. I think it's just the idea that we're recommending anything other than to save for 6.3 or pulling for Aichan Gear.
Actually these two like they are both quite
but you know, this is accurate. Herrscher of Sentience and Pardo being very important in general is accurate.
Herrscher of Human Ego, Flame Siren.
I feel like these 3 belong in a separate tier between Crystal's high priority and Crystal's not high priority. Like, not compulsory. Like, these 3 would be like a in between these 2.
Okay, so let me elaborate. So Herrscher of Human Ego, she's favorite Herrscher Valk so far. Like, getting her has changed like Elysian Realm and like Abyss. Pretty much everything has been made so much easier because of Herrscher.
She has made Elysian Realm definitely so much more fun to play. True.
Li Sushang, she is very new and
I would put Sushang definitely very high right now because it's like, well, not going into 6.2, but I would definitely put her as like the next moment where you feel like you could skip an SP patch.
And she deserves a spot in.
Outfits are
She's
crystal
honestly
highest priority,
here.
true.
Replace.
Okay, so Sushang in the F2P high priority is understandable from the aspect that her fragments are farmable, yes. But playing her Scuff without her gear, that's gonna be the F2P challenge.
Placing Brawny, but she's not free to play, so she belongs. Yeah, given how new she is, I think she's still worth your spare crystals. But like, you know, with Brawny, with AE, with
Yeah,
Hoyoverse,
challenge is
like,
getting
all
to
these supports
SS0.
can
I'm still,
easily
we're like,
help
both of
you-
us were still on
can
that
easily
grind,
cover
right?
for like if you don't have Sushang, you can still use these Valkyries. So yeah.
Is Ai-Chan really that good? Just spent a ton of crystals on Time Runner outfit. Don't like Ai-Chan's design. Ai-Chan is playable with backup gear, Dak. Like, if you have Piranha, if you already have Pardo's gear and you have Turgenev top and bottom, you can play that. Performance will take a you're not gonna get the top performance, but it's playable. The bigger question is gonna be how much fire bosses are they gonna run? I think in your case, Dakray, I would just save for Herrscher of Truth or save for 6.4.
Okay, so where does
Isn't Sushang free to play? Her gear is not, Chris. Like, yes, you can get her fragments, but her gear is not free to play. Her gear is gacha only, which is what set her back compared to battle suits like MPE and FR, where they were both farmable, but their gear was also more accessible. Ai-Chan with Turg TB better than full Raven. Boss contextual swim. It'll be boss dependent. Certain fights is just smoother with Ai-Chan. But when we did our playtesting, Piranha Turg TB was still like smoothness of play, and as a result, the score was still higher than Raven. Like on the specific fights, like Ignite, Argent Knight, and I think Benares. You would still want to just run Ai-Chan. Now, Ai-Chan with Piranha and Turg TB means you won't get the luxury of running Pardo and Ai-Chan in the same team, which was pretty cracked.
Ai-Chan land? Let me see. Ai-Chan, even how she tags along with Flame Scion, and she is probably a free to play Vault. So I'll put her under free to play high priority where Eden sits because like of the ignite factor. Yeah, you can get her full kit in 120 pulls, which is honestly a steal. So if you expect crystals, I think pulling for Ai-Chan's gear is definitely crystal well spent. For especially if you have Flame Scion also, because both of them will pair very well. So yeah, this is my full Valkyrie tier list. Pardo is mainly for her. I mean, Pardo is maxing out her Stigmata, which I don't have, and I feel the huge difference lah. So yeah, these three are the DPS factors. These two are the supports. Of course, now supports play a more significant role in increasing DPS compared to having the DPS themselves. That's why Pardo is up here, same as Herrscher of Sentience. And then after that is HOHE for ice, fire, physical. Then lightning teams, you can either have Herrscher of Thunder, Apponia, Mobius. I'll go with either of these two for your lightning.
Who made this tier list?
Then
This is Moonshine EX
Vill-V,
is Alaza.
which is your fire replacement, something like that. Sushang, which is your ice support. AE, which covers all your elemental teams together. Fallen Rosemary also covers all your elemental teams together as a support. Then
We get Herrscher of Truth the next patch.
and
After that is
HOT,
Global
both,
Anniversary spending. Yes.
secondary
Enk 42, that is
DPS,
correct.
because like you already have the better versions out here. Spina as well, like ice, fire, no, ice, lightning, fire, like the second priority ice, lightning, fire Valkyries. CH kind of outdated, but still pretty.
Okay, so Shadows, that depends. Do you have Sushang gear? Because if you don't have Sushang gear, finishing your first Turg set for HB makes sense. But second Turg TB definitely is nice to have.
Decent in, you do have a good physical support, but honestly I think
So the CH situation we're seeing, like Lilith is exactly playtesting through that, where Lilith doesn't have HS and is playing with like 65 11th right now. Okay, Shadows, if you have full Sushang gear, just go for second Turg TB. If you can finish the M piece from Battle Pass and still have left enough for a second B piece, that would be great. But like, it's not gonna be that big of a difference at this point because you have Sushang, and having two top and bottoms of Turg, it just makes more sense.
You have like Carol, SA, all these do equally well. Elysia, physical, I mean secondary.
I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit.
Honestly, interchangeable between.
Okay, he's just explaining.
And,
Okay,
yeah.
so at this point, I would say that in agreement with Fragile, most of the placements are accurate, but the caveat is that like the DPS in Crystal's high priority should be like a half tier below. And then I feel like great but don't spend. You obviously have your first half, which are like more modern meta with MPE, and then CH, and then the rest of these are like slightly more niche or older meta or older meta. So like there's like the lower half of great but don't spend could be a half tier below. F2P high priority as far as farmables go, I think this also breaks down into two sections, right? You have your modern, which includes Carol, but not SA, and then SA and the rest would be old meta F2P. So in terms of ranking, I think I would say this is mostly accurate. But as far as recommendations for next patch, I would not spend crystals on any of these next patch. I think if you were trying to go for any of these, any of the top 3 rows, right, including like the top 2.5 rows, I would say you would have to wait for like an anniversary event where there's Foca Expa, that type of thing. HS crystals is also a bad idea if you buy Battle Pass. Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. You know, like it's like players like Dark Knight Pyro, who's been waiting for a long time to roll on HOS. He's gonna still go ahead and roll on HOS, but I don't think he's as concerned about any of the other characters. I think from a grand account planning standpoint, yes, I agree. HOS from BP will be the most efficient way. Would Seven Thunders be worth getting next patch? If you can afford it, I would still say yes. If you pull on ADV, you can almost get triple S with a BP. So are you telling me I need to pull on the ADV banner this time around, Fragile? Anyways, like, yeah, I agree. Like, overall, the rankings aren't bad. I just don't think any player that isn't wailing to catch up should be trying to roll on these. Like, if you're like I said before, right? That's always the caveat for determining your budget on Honkai. Is like, if you're a player that spends 150 USD in B chips and bundles every version, and you want to splurge out and get one of these S ranks, sure. As far as F2P high priority or like farmable high priority, yeah, you should have all your SP battle suits, not including SA. So like Eden, Fischl, Pardo, Griseo, Haxer Bunny, well, you can maybe ease up on Haxer Bunny now if you have full gear Sushang. But if you don't have full gear Sushang, you should still Haxer Bunny up. And Carol. Like all of your farmable modern SP battle suits from 4.7 onward should be triple S. And that's for everybody, not just F2P players, The biggest issue now is like Eden with her weapon and Eden without her weapon is a night and day difference. At this point, Fen should just make his own tier list instead of only react Andying them. I don't need to make a tier list because everybody else makes a tier list. It's so much easier for me to react Andy to them. All I have to do is remind you that on my free-to-play account, this is what I'm going to do. And on my F2P account, my non-spender account, it's not true free-to-play, but it's a non-spender account as of the end of whenever the AE Battle Pass ended. As on my non-spender account, I will be skipping Ichan gear, and I will be prioritizing the 6.4 anniversary event. I will get to taste what it's like to not have Herrscher of Truth on that account, and then after 6.4, I will probably just save up for Herrscher of Truth. So yeah, in conclusion, the rankings themselves aren't bad. I just don't agree that people need to be. I don't agree that we need to be saying that crystal priority should go to anything that already exists. Sure, spend real money for the battle pass for Herrscher of Sentience if Honkai is something that you feel is worth your money. And then I think the rest of it you just go and save for 6.3 and 6.4. In 6.4, if we get a Foca Expa, then you might come back and look at a list like this and say like, okay, well, this is worth getting because I like this character and she's got competitive performance. Fine. Yeah, I feel like Seven Thunders and Eden is worthwhile if they get a rerun between now and 6.3 if you're willing to take on that risk. Or if you're willing to top up for the 50 pulls. I think those are reasonable pickups. I think that about covers it. I felt like the pull whenever tier when it was just Dust Collection. I feel like the naming could have been better, right? Because I feel like you have your dorm buffs, you have your battle suits that you're collecting for dorm buffs, but then you also have your battle suits that are get whenever because they have ER mode available to them. And then you have characters that are just like, you don't really need them at all, like Black Nucleus or, well, Black Nucleus is dorm buff tier, but like Dimension Breaker. Is Ichan gear on 30 pull guarantee? On initial release in 6.2, yes. So I'm waiting for Bronya. On main account, I'm going to try to pull everything. On alt account, I am skipping all the way until 6.4, Alaza. Now to react to the comments, yeah. Well, we already read Starlight Veronica's. So StarlightVero, we've seen pretty regularly on the EU Myriad and T100. StarlightVero might be in that realm of like also getting tired with the game because I don't see them pushing as far as before. But yeah, main quibble would be on SA. I feel like SA don't see spending your Asteroid pins to farm when you could be spending them on Grisea and Carol. True. I would put SA in get whenever. I agree. Big agree. Okay, there was one that I saw. Okay, so HOT fell from meta and on great, but don't spend. Okay, I really want to address this one. Because HOT definitely nice to have. And if you already have her, then you can get Seven Thunders and Echoes of Pistols. Echoes of Paradise pistols for Eden. But we're getting a free HT. We're getting a free HT, right? In 6.2. So that will be why you don't want to spend for her on her own. There won't be a HOF rerun in 6.2 for global. Yeah, if no HOF, you probably just do Just use a different element. Gotta disagree with like half this list depending on how much someone is willing to spend. Well, yeah, I mean, if you're a turbo whale and you can afford all this stuff, you probably already have half of the list stuff anyways. How do you consider Rosalia F2P but Twilight Paladin FR Sushang not? I wouldn't even put Rosalia in the F2P tier. Rosalia and TP are definitely in the old meta section. Yeah. Looks like there's a lot of people beefing about HOT's placement. But the fact of the matter is, like, HOT is heavily reliant on Seven Thunders and then Echoes on Eden. Oh my god, there's an Argent Knight Coper in the comments. Does it make sense to skip Aichan's gear and go full in on HOT Bronya? Yes. Herrscher of Truth Bronya, it does make sense. You just have to remember, though, you probably still want to build out Aichan for fire support if you have Piranha and Turgenev top and bottom. Now, one thing that you also have to remember is that AE and Herrscher of Truth, the Breach, doesn't stack. So if you end up in a position where you're using AE and Herrscher of Truth Bronya, you're going to have a situation where some of your buffs aren't going to be overlapping. Is there a chance to have a new May battlesuit? I predict in 6.4, Jiro. My prediction originally, back during the 6.1 CN dev stream, was like, what if they do Herrscher Bronya, they do the Mecha Bronya in 6.3 and then double release Kiana and May in 6.4. So we'll wait for a 6.4 news. Design of HTR is that it kills RC as universal support. Not quite, right? Not for everybody that's delaying on Herrscher of Truth. Anyways. Yeah, overall, just save your crystals. Save your crystals. The rankings themselves on this list aren't bad. Just save your crystals. Don't. The only things you should pull for in 6.2 would be Seven Thunders rerun, maybe. Aichan gear if you can afford it. Otherwise, just save for 6.3. I know some people have been waiting for the potential of a Christmas Foca Expo for Global, and in that case, like, if you've already prepared for it, sure. Like, I know Dark Knight Pyro has been waiting for HOS on that banner. So that's if you've already planned for it. If you haven't planned for it, don't roll on it. Just save your crystals. Save your crystals. That's my review of the Moonshine EX tier list. But yeah, like in conclusion, one more time for those that are here, the rankings themselves on this video are not inherently bad. I think some of the tiers could be separated into two separate tiers. So like the top tier could be broken down into like a top A and a top B, like an A plus and an A minus, and then same thing with the third tier. The first half and then the second half of this tier are like, it could be their own levels. The rankings themselves are not inherently bad. I think farming priority could be stressed a little bit with more nuance. The biggest complaint that we do have about Moonshine's list is the fact that going into 6.2, you should not be trying to spend crystals if you didn't already plan to do so. Like, we have one user who sometimes comes by, Dark Knight Pyro. He's been saving a long time for HOS, and he's ready to just drop all those crystals soon as a Foca Expo with HOS comes around, because he's not buying Battle Pass, all right? However, if a lot of you are low budget, free to play, or mid budget, and you are not saving or waiting for a Foca Expo, some of you are you're on the fence about Ichan gear. Some of you are like, maybe I want Herrscher of Truth. My advice is you either commit to Herrscher of Truth or you commit to 6.4. You either commit to Herrscher of Truth because she provides amazing utility as a support character, or you commit to 6.4 because you're trying to get that spending event outfit. That's the final assessment. And if you can afford Ichan gear along the way, I leave that up to your wallet. That's it. Commit card swipe. Relative to your budget. I just want it all. It's my gacha and I want it now.